Tonight on NewsCenter. Public festivals and ballparks enjoy large crowds on the nation's expressways bumper to bumper on this one-off national holiday here in Korea, while thousands of Chinese enjoy a huge ginseng chicken soup party along the Hanigang River. The much-hyped 7th Congress of North Korea's Workers' Party opens behind closed doors. Foreign reporters that were invited into Pyongyang for the event are not permitted into the forum. And a British consumer goods group, Reckitt Benckiser's chief executive, apologizes for its Korean unit sales of water sterilizers for humidifier devices, which have been linked to deadly lung injuries. The scandal beginning to draw attention outside of Korea in the UK as well. NewsCenter begins right now. It's 9 in Washington, 2 in the afternoon in London, and 10 on a Friday evening here in Seoul. Hello and welcome to our viewers all across the globe. You're watching Arirang News Center. Koreans got an extra day off today, sandwiched between a national holiday yesterday and the upcoming weekend. Now that means most living in this country got to enjoy a 4-day-long golden weekend, and it's only day 2 of the 4-day break. Despite the rainy weather across the country, public places were extra crowded with those trying to make the most out of their holiday, and expressways jam-packed with cars driving in and out of the nation's capital. An overview of how Koreans are spending the second day of a long holiday. Our Kim Mo-gyun paints the scene.
The Korean government designated Friday as a temporary holiday in order to drive up consumer spending and boost the domestic economy. Since the temporary holiday has been sandwiched between Thursday's Children's Day and Saturday, the majority of Koreans have been able to enjoy a 4-day weekend, with many people deciding to go on trips in and out of the country. Some 85,000 Koreans flocked overseas on Thursday to spend the long weekend, but many people decided to stay in the country, enjoying a wide range of activities. Jeonju City, located in Jeollabuk-do Province, hosted the 20th Jeonju Hanji Culture Festival on Friday, promoting the excellent qualities of Korean traditional paper, hanji. Many children participated in the event, making colorful flowers using hanji paper. Some even decided to make carnation flowers, a symbolic gift given to parents on Parents' Day in Korea, which falls on Sunday.
I'm making beautiful carnation flowers through hanji. I'm going to give them to my grandmother this coming Parents' Day on Sunday.
Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn also made a visit to Suwon City, where the Suwon Theater Festival is being held, and spent the day meeting and interacting with numerous citizens enjoying the festival. To encourage the public to explore such events, toll fees across expressways nationwide have been waived, as well as entrance fees to museums, palaces, and other tourist hotspots. As so, traffic has been building up on highways out of Seoul. The Gyeongbu Expressway leading to Busan is currently heavily congested, as is Seohean and Yeongdong Expressways, which lead to Mokpo and Incheon respectively. The Korea Expressway Corporation forecasts the heavy traffic to clear up by midnight. Kim Mo-gyun, Arirang News.
So Koreans did get an extra day off today, and it was a last-minute decision made by the government to boost economic spending or consumption in this country, deemed critical for economic growth. The intent was to encourage people to get out and spend a little bit, but will the economic benefits amount to what's been anticipated? Our Shin Se-min takes a look at the ups and downs of this bonus holiday.
Koreans got an extra day off this month when the government designated May 6th a temporary holiday. There have been 3 other temporary holidays, but this is the first one designed to spur domestic consumption and boost a slowing economy. And it was planned to coincide with the month when the domestic spending is usually at its height. Korea's Hyundai Research Institute projects the holiday will result in $1.1 billion in additional economic value. The institute predicts roughly $1.7 billion will be spent during the holiday, based on the assumption that half of the entire population, where 25 million people, takes a day off. That's excluding the added value generated due to Koreans traveling abroad. But not everyone gets the day off. Only 37% of the country's 350 small and medium-sized businesses give employees a long weekend. And the decision to designate the holiday was an abrupt one, which could have worked against producing enough economic effect.
The decision to have a temporary holiday was sudden, giving the public only a week to plan for the 4-day weekend, a factor that could work against the desired economic effect the government was seeking.
In addition, the long holiday means fewer workdays, translating to lower production and a drop in exports, which could hurt manufacturers and exporters depending on output to fuel their business. Korea's trade ministry said April's outbound shipments amounted to $41 billion, down 11.2% on year. An extra day and a half of vacation that month compared to the same month last year is a factor attributed to the drop. Industry analysts say the loss of one workday leads an export decline of between $2 and $3 billion. 신세민, Arirang News.
Chicken soup for 4,000 souls. Picture this, 4,000 people having samgyetang, or Korean traditional ginseng chicken soup, outdoors at a riverside park. Yes, all at the same time. That's exactly what happened in the middle of the city today here in the Korean capital. And as you can imagine, it created quite a scene. Our Kim Hae-sung took part of that mass event.
400 tables, 4,000 bowls of samgyetang, a popular traditional Korean chicken ginseng soup, a whole lot of kimchi, and beer to wash it all down. This was laid out for 4,000 employees of Jomain International Development Group who are in Korea on an incentive tour. Before coming to Banpo Hangang Park, the employees of the Chinese healthcare firm toured Everland Theme Park Friday morning, where they got to see 2 giant pandas that China loaned to Korea as a symbol of friendship.
This is my first time trying samgyetang. It's really delicious. It makes me feel healthy.
After the meal, music from Descendants of the Sun, a Korean drama that enjoyed rave views in China, could be heard as Korean pop singer Lin performed her song featured on the popular show.
Great music, awesome view, and delicious food. It's perfect.
The group arrived in Seoul on Thursday. 16 hotels will provide accommodations during the 5-day stay, and 100 buses will take them to the tourist hotspots like Myeongdong and Dongdaemun. It's all part of a larger Korean government effort to attract more Chinese travelers who continue to give the economy a boost. According to the Korea Tourism Organization, the group's visit is expected to contribute more than $20 million to the Korean economy.
We believe that this is a great opportunity to promote traditional Korean food and culture. We will keep coming up with creative ideas to hold similar customized events for tourists visiting Korea.
This isn't the first massive Chinese group Korea has seen. In March, 6,000 employees from China's Aolan International Beauty Group visited Korea on a similar program, breaking tourism sales records. With another group of 4,000 Jomain employees scheduled to arrive next week, it looks like this chicken soup party won't be the last. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
Now shifting our focus, North Korea began its highest level political gathering in more than 3 decades this Friday under rainy skies, with a message of nuclear defiance to the United States and its state media, but a complete blackout on information from the event. Analysts outside the isolated North are watching closely for insights into the evolving leadership of Kim Jong-un, who inherited his family dynasty about 4 years ago when he was still in his late 20s. Our correspondent in charge of North Korean affairs, Kwana Kim, has the latest on the North's first Workers' Party Congress in 36 years, at least, the latest on the little that we know so far.
Red party banners scattered along the streets of Pyongyang show North Korea's festive mood as the regime celebrates its ruling Workers' Party Congress, the North's highest political event in 36 years. More than 100 journalists from international media outlets have been permitted press coverage in the North Korean capital, but with the world's most secretive nation restricting coverage inside the convention center, the main event remains under a veil. What is known for now, however, is that some 3,000 party members have gathered at the venue to discuss the party's future policies. Outside the convention center, street interviews were allowed, offering a glimpse of North Koreans' undivided loyalty for its young leader.
We are very happy and proud that this honorable revolutionary tradition established by our great leaders is adding luster to our country, and that our respected comrade Kim Jong-un is holding up our country as the #1 in the world.
The 7th Workers' Party Congress is expected to run for 3 to 4 days, with Kim likely to formalize his leadership and solidify his Pyeongjin policy of simultaneous nuclear and economic development. The party is also forecast to extol the accomplishments of the Kim dynasty. The regime's founder Kim Il-sung, his son Kim Jong-il, and his grandson and the current leader Kim Jong-un. The highlight of the event is expected to be on the last day, when new younger aides to Kim Jong-un will be elected and Kim will be given the party's highest post. This rarest of rare events is being closely watched by the international community as Kim consolidates his hold on power and charts a vision for the future of the communist state. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
We have reported multiple times on the growing speculation of a possible nuclear test by Pyongyang leading up to the Workers' Party Congress today. Well, obviously that did not happen. Experts are now speculating that the North's 5th nuclear test appears to have been put off for now, at least until after the Congress comes to a close. Our Kwon So-ah looks into the possible reasons for the regime's decision.
North Korea has refrained from conducting another nuclear test so far after its 4th one in January. That pushes the chance of a 5th test to after the ruling Workers' Party Congress that kicked off Friday. South Korea and U.S. predictions, activities at the North's nuclear test site, as well as a string of failed ballistic missile launches have been hinting that another nuclear test may happen prior to the Congress. This in order to boost its nuclear capability to its people before the big event. However, some experts say the timing wasn't appropriate in the regime's eyes, as it's feeling the increased international pressure. That includes its longtime ally China and Russia, which have shown more active cooperation in punishing the North for its recent provocations.
North Korea seems to have assessed that the aftermath would be too big before the Congress, as sanctions would accelerate. I think the North wants to boost its nuclear capability as much as possible before the next administration in the U.S.
Although some say a 5th test is a while away, the South Korean government is not taking any chances, with the military maintaining a state of readiness. That's partly because Seoul and the rest of the world have seen that Kim Jong-un's moves are more unpredictable than those of his predecessors. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
There has been a whole lot of talk both in and outside of North Korea on this once-in-a-generation conference leading up to today. So what exactly is it? Why the 36-year gap and why now? Several things to know about North Korea's secretive gathering expected to last a few days. Our Oh Jung-hee has the details.
The Workers' Party of Korea is the only political party in North Korea, making the rare Friday Congress the most significant political event in the regime. The last time it was held was in 1980, when the then leader and the founder of the regime, Kim Il-sung, used the Congress as a platform to declare his son, Kim Jong-il, as his successor. However, the Congress wasn't held for 36 years. The late leader Kim Il-sung ruled against holding the event unless the regime could feed its own people properly, something that never happened as economic and political conditions fell into a crisis, especially with the collapse of socialist governments in the 1990s. Kim Il-sung died in 1994, and his death was followed by a massive famine in 1995 and 1996. Now the Congress is finally being held again, but the event doesn't necessarily indicate that conditions in the North have improved.
The 7th Workers' Party Congress aims to clearly declare the regime's new leadership amid political, economic, and social instability. It evaluates the past 5 years of Kim Jong-un's reign, and it is expected to lay out the regime's major policies and strategies.
One observation point is how Kim Jong-un's status will change. The young Kim has kept a lower-ranking title than those of his father and grandfather, keeping it at first secretary of the party. But many expect this to change during the Congress. Upon cementing his grip on power, Kim Jong-un is also expected to name new officials, with the majority of Pyongyang's political elites being officials that worked with Kim Jong-un's father and grandfather. The young leader is most likely to name new aides to take on major posts, including his younger sister, Kim Yo-jong. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Well, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump has made quite a bit of offensive and outrageous comments, but what's even more worrisome is some outrageous policy changes that he has blatantly proposed. One such proposal has been on the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement that came into effect in early 2012. He wants to modify the pact to provide more economic benefits to the U.S., but is it feasible even if Trump ever becomes a U.S. president? Our Ian Shin reports experts think otherwise.
With the last two candidates dropping out of the race, Donald Trump has come a step closer to becoming the next tenant of the White House. And the attention of the international community is now on policy changes he might make with other countries in the world, including longtime allies like South Korea. Trump has continuously expressed disapproval of the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement for years now. With rather a protectionist trade approach, he insists that the deal needs some fundamental changes so that it could actually be called a fair agreement for both sides. And these remarks are raising concerns that Trump may demand to revise the agreement policies or even attempt to break the deal between the two countries if elected. However, political analysts say that this is an impractical scenario, and even if he does win the election later this year, the changes he says he'd make won't likely happen.
Even if he is elected president, Trump won't be able to make such changes so easily. There is a possibility that he may try to renegotiate on certain policies. But remember, it's a deal that has been agreed by both sides to benefit both nations. On top of everything, people should not take every single word he says so seriously, as he says a lot of things just for the sake of stirring controversy.
The Korea-US FTA safeguards American manufacturers, and nearly 80% of exports of U.S. industrial goods to Korea are tariff-free, such as auto parts, chemicals, and consumer goods. The FTA between the two countries also reflect the two allies' long-standing commitment to maintain a strong relationship, one that is crucial to the stability of the Asia-Pacific region. Ian Shin, Arirang News.
First week into the month of May, and the latest approval numbers of President Park Geun-hye have been released. With a bit more than a year and a half left in her term in office, a recent poll shows her ratings have been on a steady rise since a huge dip in April. We take a look at the numbers with Hwang Ho-jun.
After President Park Geun-hye returned from a historic visit to Iran, resulting in MOUs valuing up to $45.6 billion, her approval ratings turned upward for 2 consecutive weeks since it hit its lowest point right after the April 13 general election. According to a recent survey by Gallup Korea, 33% of the respondents answered positively regarding President Park, a 4% increase since the third week of April. The poll showed that the president received the highest marks on diplomacy and international relations, most likely concerning her successful visit to Iran. She also received positive remarks regarding her stable administrative operations, as well as her handling on North Korea and national security. People who gave a negative evaluation chose the president's lack of communication with the public as the biggest culprit. The poll also showed the public's approval ratings on the country's 3 main political parties. The ruling Saenuri Party took the lead with 32%, a rebound since the general election. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea stood at 22%, suffering a 2% drop. The minor opposition People's Party, which scored its highest approval rating of 25% after the election, witnessed a 7-point drop, with a rating of 18%. Gallup Korea surveyed more than 1,000 men and women from Monday through Wednesday, and it said the survey had a margin of error of plus or minus 3.1% points. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
Now, this developing story, a 6-ton Singaporean oil tanker collided with a fishing boat off the southern coast of the Korean peninsula Thursday night, leading to the death of the fishing boat's 58-year-old captain. Now, the oil tanker was leaving the southern port city of Yeosu when the accident took place. The vessel was later apprehended by the Korean Coast Guard as it was a hit and run. The captain of the fishing boat was pulled from the waters after about half an hour after falling off the boat. The Russian captain of the oil-carrying ship is currently under custody. Well, the month of May is a beautiful time to be here in Korea. The weather isn't too hot or too warm, but just right. And the mountains and valleys, beaches and riverbanks that this country is full of show off the best of what nature has to offer. Are you planning a trip with your family or friends this month? Well, our Kwon Jang-ho has a list of the most popular spots to visit in Korea this time of the year.
May is widely regarded as one of the best months of the year for travel in Korea. The spring flowers are in full bloom, the summer heat hasn't quite arrived yet, and there is no shortage of events around the country. But where are the best places to go? A GPS company released details of the most searched for driving destinations in each province during the month of May last year. Beaches were some of the most popular sites nationwide. For example, in Gangwon province, Sokcho Beach and Gyeongpo Beach took the top 2 spots, while Daegwallyeong Sheep Farm came in third. Nestled in the highlands of the Taebaeksan Mountains, this picturesque farm has over 200 sheep grazing on its green pastures. The views have been captured in films and commercials over the years and have drawn comparisons to the Swiss Alps. Visitors can take in the sights with a relaxing hike around the property, and if you want to get closer to the sheep, you can buy a basket of hay for a small fee and feed the animals yourself.
되게 재밌고 양들이 너무 귀여워요.
Gyeonggi-do province offers some plum spots, but the country's biggest theme park, Everland, was the top destination. Located on the outskirts of Seoul, the park attracts over 7 million people a year, though the month of May sees the most visitors. That's partly due to the annual Rose Festival scheduled during the month. It's one of the park's most successful attractions, even among the thrilling amusement park rides. A popular addition to the park this year is Panda World. Lebao and Aibao, on loan from China, have already attracted huge crowds since the attraction opened last month.
I've only seen them in comics and it's amazing to see them in real life, but I was surprised to see that they were smaller than I thought. All they do is eat and sleep, and I'm kind of jealous of that, but then again, they're pandas after all.
Moving south to the Gyeongsang-do provinces, the southern coast is famous for its beaches. But a little peninsula on Kojedo Island called Windy Hill has been gaining in popularity. The site's famous windmill overlooks a charming little fishing village called Dojangpo Maul. This idyllic locale was once considered a hidden treasure, but after appearing in films and TV programs in the last few years, it has become a must-see sight in the area. Next up is Chungcheong-do provinces, and beaches once again take the top 2 spots, but coming in third is the National Institute of Ecology, which houses the nation's biggest ecological park, the Aquarium. Containing almost 2,000 forms of plant life and 230 animals, it's a place where young and old can experience and learn about different ecosystems together, including the tropics, the desert, and even the polar regions. Last, but certainly not least, are the Jeollado provinces, with sites such as the Chungno-won Bamboo Village in Tamyang and the Seomjingang River Steam Train Village. But the #1 destination in both the country and the province for 2 years running is the Jeonju Hanok Village in Jeollabuk-do province. Popular with Korean and foreign tourists alike, the village features over 800 houses built in the traditional Korean style. A recent trend has seen more and more visitors coming dressed in traditional hanbok clothing as people try to emulate life in Korea during pre-industrial times.
I think this village is the best representation of traditional Korean culture. It also feels very comforting and warms my heart.
These are just a handful of the destinations the country has to offer, and although May is considered the best month to travel, there are plenty of great sites around the country that can be enjoyed all year round. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
A massive wildfire raging across parts of Western Canada is likely to be that country's most costly natural disaster. Bruce Harrison is live in the studio with me. Bruce, thousands of homes have been destroyed or damaged, literally people's lives gone in overnight. I'm sure there is an economic impact from the fire.
Yeah, we're just starting to see the starts of that. The areas hit hardest so far is Fort McMurray. That entire community has been evacuated, and it's supported by oil sands. Right now, it's estimated crude production has slowed by about 640,000 barrels a day. That's roughly 16% of Canada's crude production.
So what are economists saying about the economic impact from the production slowdown?
Well, the hit's definitely going to be noticeable. Economists at the Bank of Nova Scotia told the Washington Post that the wildfires increase the risk of GDP growing very little or not at all this quarter. The fires aren't directly threatening the oil sands, but many of those workers had to flee the area, along with tens of thousands of other residents. The government's taking steps to take care of those people now.
Today, I'm pleased to announce that in addition to the Government of Canada providing future assistance through the Disaster Financial Assistance Arrangement, the Government will also be matching individual charitable donations made to the Canadian Red Cross in support of disaster relief.
9 evacuation shelters have been set up in Alberta for the tens of thousands of people fleeing the blaze. They wait patiently while many of their homes burn back in Fort McMurray.
We waited so long. We've been here like 1 p.m. and we just got our stuff. Right now it's already 10 or almost 10. So we've waited that long.
Because of so many people coming from Fort McMurray, that's why we need to wait for a couple of hours for us to get those stuff, and then, just need to be patient to wait for that.
Cooler temperatures and a possibility of rain are in the forecast, offering hope it could become easier to control the blaze. Authorities say there have been no known casualties from the fire, but there was a fatal car accident along the evacuation route. For several years now, Koreans have battled a British company to take responsibility for a toxic product believed to have killed around 90 people, including mothers and babies. Now their fight is gaining global exposure. This week, Korean protesters traveled to London to picket Reckitt Benckiser's annual shareholders meeting. And on Thursday, company CEO Rakesh Kapoor said he profoundly regrets the situation and is personally very sorry. This is the first time the company's admitted selling a humidifier disinfectant linked to the deaths and illness in hundreds of others. The story's been carried by UK media such as The Guardian, Financial Times, and The Telegraph. But the protesters aren't satisfied yet and are meeting Kapoor today, reportedly to ask he apologize to the victims in Korea in person. Kim Dok-jong is one of the protesters in London. He says his 5-year-old son died after using the sterilizers.
The investigations are revealing all their crimes. The British people need to know that the same thing could happen here. We want an apology and assurances that this will never happen again.
Reckitt Benckiser discontinued the disinfectant made by its Korean unit Oxy Reckitt Benckiser in 2011 after a government investigation suggested the product caused lung damage. The company also makes popular brands selling in Korea, including Silitbong, Dettol, and Durex.
For example, that's such a big company. I never heard about that company name before that, but they make a Durex, the condoms. They make a Lemsip and Dettols.
The humidifier disinfectants linked to lung damage are only believed to have been sold in Korea.
Now, Bruce, the product has been off the shelves here in Korea for 5 years now, but it seems like it's only now that the victims' voices are being heard.
Sure, well, it took them going to London to achieve that, but it's definitely made an impact. They're holding the company accountable in a very public way. And the CEO, Mr. Kapoor, also said that his company is responsible, and he's personally going to try and make sure that something like this never happens again.
Well, I guess words aren't just enough, and it's really interesting to see what will come out of this meeting with Kapoor and whether he will be here in Korea and meet victims' demands. All right, Bruce, thank you so much for that coverage today.
No problem.
Well, we had the exact opposite of yesterday's fine weather today, mostly cloudy with scattered showers here in Seoul. So for more on the latest weather updates, let's head straight over to our Lee Ji-hyun at the Weather Center. Ji-hyun, I think one day of dreary, damp weather is quite enough for the 4-day golden weekend.
I agree with you, Kon-young, but thankfully plenty of sunshine is in the forecast and temperatures will crank up to the seasonal averages for the rest of the weekend.
Now, that's good to know, but I also do remember you mentioning that yellow dust might be sweeping across the country. What's the latest on that very unwelcome guest?
Well, yellow dust from Inner Mongolia will be coming to the peninsula, so the levels of fine dust will be high for most parts of the country, while Jeollado provinces and Jeju Island will see very high levels during the day tomorrow. But despite the dust, it's still going to be bright outside with UV levels to be strong throughout the day, so be sure to wear a good amount of sunscreen and also wear a face mask before heading out tomorrow. Now, daily lows will be a few notches lower than today, as the low here in Seoul will start out at 11 degrees Celsius, while Daegu and Jeju will kick off at 13 degrees Celsius. And as for the daily highs, Seoul will top out at 23 degrees Celsius, while Busan and Jeju will see a high of 25 and 21 degrees Celsius respectively. Now, Sunday, the Parents' Day here in Korea, should be a better day to spend some time outside as the air quality will improve, but it's going to feel like early summer in the afternoon here in the capital. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
And that is our broadcast on this Friday night. I'm Moon Kon-young. Hope you're enjoying the long golden weekend. Have a wonderful first weekend of May. And for our viewers in other parts of the world, have a good one. For those of you here in Korea and across Asia, a good night from Seoul.